Worrying is a complete waste of time. It will impact your personal as well as your professional life. None of your problems will ever be solved if you just keep worrying about them. Worrying is like a rocking chair, right? It will keep moving, but it will never ever get you anywhere. Few months back, I read this amazing book by Dale Carnegie, and this book changed my life. The name of the book is How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. This entire video is based on the practical concepts that I learned from this book. The concepts, if you apply in your day-to-day life, will help you to lead a more positive and a cheerful life. So if you want to break the habit of worry before it actually breaks you, do watch the video till the end, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's start with the very first concept. Living in day-tight compartments. See, we worry about a lot of things. We worry about the fact that will I be successful in life? What will I be doing, say, next 5 years or 10 years? Will I be able to crack this interview? Will I be able to do well in my job? So guys, you need to remember one thing and you need to note it down. Your job is not to worry about something which lies dimly or unclearly at a distance. But your job is to make sure that you give your 100% to something which lies clearly in your hand. So the job, the task that you have at your hand, you need to give your 100% to that instead of worrying about something which is unclear at a distance, like what will happen to me say 5 years or 10 years from now, or will I be as successful as my friends, will I be as successful as the guy next door. So you need to stop worrying about that. You need to seize the day. See, when you get up in the morning, you have hundreds of tasks at hand, and throughout the day you keep worrying about them. You create this mental and physical pressure, and the end result is always disastrous. You need to focus on one task at a time. Give your 100%, finish that task, then move on to the next one. If you keep worrying about a lot of tasks and you keep worrying about it, how will I achieve it, it will create anxiety and unnecessary physical and mental pressure. And as I said, the end result is always going to be disastrous. So the key learning from this particular concept is that you need to focus on something that you currently have in your hand. You do not have to unnecessarily worry about something which you are unsure of whether it will happen or not. Okay, so as I said, right, this entire video is based on the practical concept. So these 5 questions that you see right now on the screen, I want you to answer them very, very honestly and keep it to yourself. You don't have to share it with anyone, but be very, very honest in answering these questions, right? So if you do that, it will help you analyze your worry situation, and that will help you to reduce or overcome it better. Now let's move on to the second concept. The second concept is the magic formula that will help you to reduce worry. It's a 3-step formula that I will explain with an example, which will help you to understand and apply to your day-to-day life in a better way. See, one thing which is guaranteed if you worry about things a lot, that it will impact your ability to concentrate. It will create bad illusions, bad imaginations in your head, and it will make you more anxious, more fearful, and you won't be productive at all, right? So what is this 3-step formula? Right. So the first step in this 3-step formula is ask yourself, what is the worst that is going to happen? If you have a problem, you need to ask yourself that what is the worst that can happen if I have this problem, if I actually have to face this problem. Second, accept the worst if you have to. The third step, calmly proceed on improving the worst. Now let me give you an example, right? Now say you have to appear for an interview and you are worrying about it, you are anxious about it, that how will you handle this particular interview? Will you be successful? Will you get the job or not? First of all, if you want to stop worrying about your interview before it actually happens, you need to accept the worst. What is the worst that can happen in this case? That you won't be selected. Accept the fact that this is the worst that can come to you after the interview. Secondly, be ready to accept this particular outcome. Have this thing in your head that there is a possibility that you might not be selected, right? But there are other options also. So accept that worst situation and then move to the third step, which is calmly proceed on improving the worst. Now what you can do in this situation with a calm head, that you can compose yourself and you can understand how you can improve the outcome in a better way. Instead of just worrying about it, you move to the third step, in which you have listed down the problem, you know what is the worst that can happen, and now with a composed mind you take all the necessary steps. You go through some of the informational videos which will help you to improve the outcome of your interview. So in this way, you can actually reduce the worry, you can reduce the anxiousness or the fear that you have before appearing for an interview, and you can create it into a more productive and a more fruitful outcome of your choice, right? Another example which is mentioned in this book is that there was one person who was diagnosed with stomach ulcer. It's like a stomach cancer. Doctor advised him that his days are numbered and he has to be very, very careful with his diet. He cannot lift even a 2 kg or a 3 kg stuff, and he had to be very, very minimal in his diet. So in the first few months that the person did the obvious thing, right? So he was worrying about death. He was in a depressed state all the time, and his health was deteriorating, which obviously because he was worrying a lot about it. Then he tried to change his approach. He used this 3-step formula in which he accepted the worst. He asked himself that what is the worst that can possibly happen to him, which is death, right? So he already knew that death is going to happen. He accepted that death can happen to him. And then third, he calmly proceed on improving his life, whatever is remaining. So what he did, he wanted to travel in a ship. So he did a lot of enjoyable things. He ate a lot. He didn't do even a single thing which the doctor asked him to do. He enjoyed his couple of months to the fullest, and to everybody's surprise, he was cured. Now that person lived a good and enjoyable life by only changing one simple approach. He accepted his worst possible outcome. He worked on it to improve it, and he approached and he took a very positive and a cheerful approach, and the outcome was amazing. Third step, we learn how we can analyze our worry. So you must have heard it a million times that a well-listed problem is half solved, and this is 100% true. Now, if we have to solve our worry problem, we need to identify it. We need to analyze our worry. We need to analyze what exactly are we worrying about. See, most of the time what happens is the problem is only in our head. We create the problems in our head, and there is a possibility that the problem doesn't even exist. Or even if it exists, it's not of that magnitude that you think, and it's not that dangerous, it's not that nasty that you think it is, right? So the best thing to do is that you analyze your worry, you write down exactly what are you worrying about. Now if you follow these 4 steps, it will help you to reduce your worry to the minimum. The first step is, what am I worrying about? What is your exact worry? Second, what are the possible alternatives? What can I do about this particular situation? List down all the possible alternatives that you can use to solve this particular problem. Third step, decide what is the best alternative to choose. Amongst all the alternatives that you have listed in the previous step, you decide with a composed mind that what is the best alternative. Fourth, act immediately on the alternative that you have selected. Now let me give you an example. For example, the thing that you are worrying about is launching your business or launching a website, right? So the problem is that if I launch my website, will that be successful? Will I be able to survive the competition? Will I be able to get revenue? So these all problems will be in your head. So list all those problems down as a part of the first step, which is what exactly are you worrying about. Now secondly, when you have listed that what exactly is your problem, what exactly is your worry, you think of the alternatives. Now you are worried about the fact that whether your website will be able to do better in the market, if you will be able to survive the competition. So what can you do to beat the competition? You can make your product better, you can do a better market research, you can take a lot of surveys, you can talk to a lot of people, or millions other alternatives to choose from. So list all those alternatives. Now with a calm, composed mind, you choose the best alternative. You choose the alternative that will help you to survive in the market, that will help you to beat the competition, get more customers, get more revenue. The alternative that you think is the best, you choose that. Now, as a part of the fourth step, you act immediately on that particular alternative and go ahead and launch your goddammit website right now. So with these 4 steps that we just learned, you analyze your worry, you analyze your situation, you analyze your fear that you currently have in your mind, which will give you clarity that whether the thing that you're actually worrying about is that even worth worrying about or not. Or even if the thing that you are worrying about is worth worrying about, when you list all your problems, when you list your problem clearly and you analyze it with a calm and composed mind, you will definitely and surely improve the outcome. Okay. Now we move on to the last technique, which will help you to reduce worry. Now the last technique is break the worry habit before it actually breaks you. Now how you can break the worry habit? First of all, put a stop loss order to your worries. Now it will be fun for the stock market enthusiasts that how can I put stop loss order to my worries. Similarly, you put a stop loss to a stock, right? You put a stop loss, you define the loss, the maximum loss that you can incur from a particular stock if it goes down. Similar situation you apply to your worry. Choose the amount of magnitude, choose the amount of attention, choose the amount of anxiety that you want to give to that worry, and do not give it any more than that. Just put a stop loss there. The second way to break the worry habit before it breaks you is by keeping yourself busy. See, if you sit idle and do nothing, all your mind is going to do is to create bad illusions and bad imaginations. Your mind is going to make your problems even worse than what they actually are. If your problem is even small, you're sitting idle, all your mind is going to do is think about it, create bad illusions in your head, and the end result might be that you might move into a slight depression stage, which, trust me, you really don't want to do that, right? So keep yourself busy. Do something creative, do something constructive, right? Now, third way you can break the worry habit is by accepting the fact, by accepting something which is beyond your control. See, if you know that you have a problem and you really can't do anything about it, then just accept the fact and move on. Do not spend too much time on that. Do not spend too much time worrying about that. Just accept that it is beyond your control and move on. Last, do not create a fuss about small things. See, when we are busy, we have a lot of responsibility on our head. For example, I'm managing a team, right? And we have a lot of work. I'm quite busy. I have a lot of pressure. So what I could end up doing is I could end up creating fuss about small things, right? I can keep my mind worried about small bad things which are happening around me, and I might lose focus on the positive things or great things which might be happening in my team. So the end state is that you do not want to worry about, you don't want to create fuss about small things, right? Yeah. So guys, these are the few practical techniques, as I said, right? So which I got by studying this amazing book, and as I rightly said, this book actually changed my life. You could actually live without watching this particular video, but trust me, you cannot live without reading this book. This is an amazing book, and I strongly recommend you to read this book. There is no alternative to this particular book. Even this video is no alternative for that. So having said that, I really thank you to watch if you have watched the video till the end. If you like it, then do like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.